Hi, Tara Whitney from Whitney Consulting. We write grants, tenders, and business cases. And I'm talking to you today about a new grant. It's a one-off grant that's only going to happen the once, and it's called the WA Roadmap Implementation Fund, the Farm System Productivity Program process. Now, this is another grant around the sheep industry live export phase out of live export by sea. It is only the roadmap itself has only recently been released. So they've looked into, as government does, looked into a roadmap as to how do we transition sheep industry from using live export, and how do we make sure that sheep industry remains sustainable, and how do we do that in WA. So it's the WA roadmap. So the roadmap was released on the 2nd of June, 2026. It's got strategies and initiatives talking about how we address these challenges and what opportunities might be there for the sheep industry. So that roadmap is intended to guide WA and our sheep industry and in its transition away from live export. Now, the grant itself is to help implement the strategies, etc., in the roadmap. So for projects that will do that. In terms of how much is available, only up to $750,000 per project is available, minimum of 50. But what you do need to be aware of is there's only $2.5 million in total. So there's not a lot of money in total, especially if somebody is getting the $750,000. So be aware that what they are looking for is probably a few projects that are going to actually make a big difference. If you're going to go for the higher amount, if you're going for the 50, 100, 150,000, you've got a chance because they could fund a few of those projects. But if you're going for the bigger amount, you really have to be a fabulous project that is absolutely going to nail that roadmap and helping them to deliver that roadmap. So have a think about your project, have a read of the roadmap, and make sure that that is the case if you're going to go for the 750, because there's only $2.5 million. It's one off. There's no future funding available. It's just this once. You do not have to have a contribution, so you don't have to put in a cash contribution, but it's always preferable. There's plenty of organisations that are eligible, including VROCs and ROCs, so the regional councils. You guys can apply as long as your member organisations are on board. There's a few words in the guidelines which make collaboration something that might be of interest to the funding body. So I'm thinking that partnerships and making sure that you've got a few people on board would be a really good idea. In terms of timing, as I said, it's one off. It closes on the 2nd of September. You won't be able to start your project until at least November of this year, but you will have to be done by the 31st of May 2028. So if it's a big program, a long program, you're going to have to make sure you're done by 31st of May 2028. In terms of the kinds of projects they're looking at, they're not looking at capital expenses. They're not looking at infrastructure. They're definitely not looking at projects done by one farm business. We've done that. We've had the supply chain grants. We've had the farm business transition program grants. This is not about that. This is about benefit to the broader industry and helping the industry, so helping lots of people. In terms of the kind of activities, they've listed a few activities in the guidelines, so you can have a look and see what some sort of examples are, but they're talking about learning opportunities, youth mentorship, education that doesn't currently exist, projects to support technology, so any kind of technology that's going to drive productivity in the industry, anything that's going to use renewables, low emissions in that kind of technology in sheep farming and change things. It talks about case studies, so developing and disseminating case studies to promote best practice and opportunities and how people can change and grow their businesses. So those are the kinds of things that they're sort of looking at. It's not allowing any major capital expenses. So some tips to be successful. I've kind of given you some already in terms of making sure that if you're going for the full amount, that you are absolutely aligning to that roadmap. This is about implementing the roadmap. They've spent money and time coming up with a roadmap as to how the sheep industry can move forward, and now they want people to help them to do that. So have a read of that roadmap, make sure that whatever project you are coming up with is going to deliver on that roadmap, And secondly, make sure it is going to deliver for the industry, the broader industry. It is not about one or two businesses being, growing and getting better. It is about the broader sheep industry. It has to have the flow-on effects to a lot of farming, adjacent businesses. The sheep industry needs to be benefiting. So think about that. The other thing is that does talk, as I've said before, it talks about collaborative industry culture. So I would really recommend, if you are doing a project, that you have a few different pieces on the board. So whether that's farmers would be a great idea, actual people doing it, businesses, farming businesses in terms of potentially, transport or fertilizer or whatever your project is about, research, universities or something like that, if there's any kind of research, or agronomists or something like that. Whatever it is, you should look at the pieces on the board and think about, have you got all of the different collaborative pieces of the industry that would be relevant for your project. The other thing to note is that, differently to the other grants under the phase out, they have asked for a monitoring and evaluation plan. So that gives you an indication that this is something they're thinking that is an extension thing. They are wanting you to make sure that you are delivering these benefits to the broader sheep industry, and they want you to prove that you are delivering this. So you're going to have to think about how you are going to monitor your project and evaluate it and prove that you have led to that benefit to the industry. So I hope this helps. Have a look on Grant Connect for the grant if you're interested. It's called WA Roadmap Implementation Fund, Farm System Productivity Program Processes. It's a big one. So have a look at that one. It closes on the 2nd of September. We are here if you need. whitneyconsulting.com.au. Thanks.